How could Raila Odinga be put in a hospital that has completely forgotten about conventional medicine? And alternative medicine should complement or even supplement, but not replace or substitute conventional medicine. Baba was picked by something that looks like a wheelbarrow or a matatu, which had no life support in the name of ambulance. When you get cardiac arrest, you have 30 minutes to 45 minutes to survive, but he had no chance with no life support. I guess that if they did it better, we could have a giving a story. But some of you here who work with Raila closely are in a WhatsApp group called Harmonized. So there's one we call think tank. Then think tank can have many think tanks. Then the things could be harmonized under one place. And at the same time, you could even go contrary to the harmonized. So Raila was Raila and Baba is Baba. So my first condolence is to tell you, if anybody here claims to be able to understand Baba, then you don't even understand him at all. To understand Baba is to know you don't actually understand him. So that's why the title Agambo makes sense. I want to summarize Baba, that everything that has happened since Baba began until now he dies, how he's been buried, it is summarized by, it is Baba. I take this from the Gospel of John, which is chapter 21, verse 7. It might bore you, but it's important. When the disciples were not able to listen to Jesus when they were fishing, then eventually when they got the fish, the disciple that Jesus loved the most, called John, said, "It is the Lord." You just summarize, "It is the Lord." So when things happen that you can't understand, just summarize by saying, "It is the Lord." And everything you saw happening in Nyayo, you can't understand how the numbers came by. You can't understand how the whole nation cried in spite of the fact that there's a time people criticize Raila Odinga. You can just say, "It is Baba." So the second thing I want to say is that Raila was a political asset to both the friends and foe. Both friends and foe gained from Raila's political capital. Some people made their political capital by simply insulting Baba and opposing him and creating him as an enemy, and they made political capital. And I would agree partly with President Aitile by saying that by joining someone who was not really with him, maybe
like your friends in United Opposition.
Sorry?
Professor, like your friends in the United Opposition.
Yes, everybody, many people, Raila, either those who are friends were made because they were friends, Raila Odinga, because they benefited. And some people became foes, and because of that, they became. And if you want to understand this in very clear terms, some elections have been won just by saying, we must stop Raila. And some elections have been lost because of trying to support Raila. So Raila phobia, Railaphilia has been the story of Raila Odinga from the beginning. When I was a young student in a political economy class, I wrote the reason why Railaphilia and Railaphobia defines Kenyan politics. In fact, even in Luenyanza, for you to suffer, for you to do anything, you have to know that you have to overcome. If you don't like Raila, you have to find out how to philia him. And many people have philied him. And I want to go to a little bit of explanation here by saying that many of our political strategy, many people here who had written down their political strategy, with Raila's death, I'm sure everybody, including William Ruto, has to go back to the drawing board. In fact, even Professor Chiragei, even you at UDA, and if you like the Kenya Kwanza, I'm sure you must change significant chapters in your political strategy towards 2027. Just shows how towering Raila Odinga is. And I want to say that a few people in ODM, their strategy has changed more significantly than anybody else. I know many people who became governors in ODM and senators by only having what I call a 6-letter manifesto. And these words were, the first three were Rao, Raila Amolo Odinga. The more you shouted that word, the more you are likely to be elected. The second three letter were ODM, Orange Democratic Movement. So those ones were the manifestos. Now that Raila is gone, everybody must go back and change their manifesto from ODM and Rao to what you need to do with Kenyans And I urge the Kenyans to look for leaders with vision now. Kenya will be led more by vision.
And I think, Professor, you will be the biggest beneficiary in all this.
Because I already have a vision, Chiragei. So thank you very much.
Yeah, that is why I'm saying, in all this, you will be the biggest beneficiary. Because now that strong presence of Raila is somehow, because going into the future, to be realistic in Luo Nyanza, it will be a bit easy. So I know you might be very happy.
No, I can't be happy because
no, I know it is wrong as an African not to be happy when somebody passes on, but I know inside your heart you are feeling more comfortable now.
Actually, it sometimes.
This guy is interrupting you, Professor. Mwambie anyamaze akukritiki ukimaliza.
Yeah. By the way, Professor Cherage, you have to know that opportunities come, but sometimes you don't want them to come at the time they have come. You say maybe they could have waited. I think, Professor Cherage, when I landed from the airport from Juba, I had cut my trip short from Juba to come back to the country for this morning. And I was very clear that Raila could have not died because there was negligence about managing the issue there. But you see, now this is water down the bridge, because how could Raila Odinga be put in a hospital that has completely forgotten about conventional medicine? When I was a professor in Strathmore, we set up the Institute of Healthcare Management in Strathmore for medical negligence in the country. And it was for two reasons. There's a doctor who told me I was having blood pressure when I didn't have. And by telling me I had blood pressure, I had that blood pressure because it's called white blood pressure. I panicked because I would just say in space here that when I went for a test, he asked me, "Are you still alive?" Then he asked me a very difficult question, which I have to disclose. Me, can you erect? You know, when you have been studying for 30 years and you have never even had a baby, you even have no girlfriend, and now you want to enjoy your career, then you can't even feel like you can have a baby, you know? My pressure went up. And then the second thing, the dean in Strathmore, who was my friend, his father was wrongly diagnosed with diabetes, was starting diabetics treatment, and then he got now diabetes by being treated for diabetes, which we didn't have. So then we set up the institute to correct the healthcare negligence. In fact, there are so many people I've taught there, I don't want to mention the name, but that place, we have two types of medicine: conventional medicine and alternative medicine. And alternative medicine should complement or even supplement, but not replace or substitute conventional medicine. Baba was picked by something that looks like a wheelbarrow or a matatu, which had no life support in the name of ambulance. When you get cardiac arrest, you have 30 minutes to 45 minutes to survive, but he had no chance with no life support. I guess that if they did it better, we could have a giving story. But let me leave that for now and finish, because I'm sure the ball will be on my next. So the last thing I want to say is that you see, there was a lot of overwhelming reaction when people came to view the body of Baba, until even the airport had a bridge. The number of people who are willing to see Baba, those numbers were very many. In fact, if this reaction was to a polling station, which I think there has been a time when those people went to the polling station for Baba, it confirms the second thing, that Baba must have won election more than twice, if not all the time he ran, because those people really showed national love, organic. I used to say when Kibaki was lying in state, when Moi lied in state, laid in state, there was a time when there was even almost an advertisement on TV asking people to go and view the body. Here, I didn't see anybody advertising on TV, but the number was overwhelming. It's like a product that people don't want to be advertised to buy. So those things confirms to me that Baba must have won the election. And lastly, when I conclude, the ball, I listened to all the speeches that was there in Bondo, the ones in Kisumu, the ones in Nyayo, and I discovered there's a serious deficit in this country. The deficit of a vision. I didn't see any vision. In fact, the one that comes closest to a vision is the one that was stated by, unfortunately, if not fortunately, the most aggrieved person, which is Mama Ida. She says something profound by saying,
Thank you very much.
this country needs people to build national wealth not personal wealth.
Asante. Exactly.
I've pursued this with the books writing. Professor Daitile, we have been on show with you. I've been talking about national sovereign wealth. Here with Professor Kabaiku, I've been talking about creating national wealth. Solomonic economics is about creating plenty national wealth. I've talked on space about it. And look at this leader. Oh, Raila Odinga. Oh, we lost election. Of course, we are mourning, but a most aggrieved lady in the most delicate time she's putting her husband on the soil says something that every other leader, even economists like Anyang' Nyong'o, missed the point that we need to have a vision. Raila was Raila because he had a big vision.